Welcome back to Julie's Wreath Boutique. So let's take 2 rolls of mesh, let's fuse it together, and let's use that same mesh for the center as well. So all you need is a 10-inch wreath frame, and I'll tell you where you can get them now. So let's make a beautiful wreath and a petal I haven't showed you before. All right, well, welcome back to Julie's Wreath Boutique. Today we are going to do a fuse petal method wreath here, and we're going to use my friend A Noble Touch, Michelle of A Noble Touch Crafts. Here on YouTube, we're going to use her single petal fold, but we're going to use it with a fused technique that I've shown you guys a few years ago, and we're going to kind of twist it a little bit. We're just going to make it a little bit, a tad bit different, but it is the single petal fold by A Noble Touch, and I will leave her link in the description box below. If you've not already subscribed to her channel, she makes the most amazing deco mesh wreaths. Amazing. The flowers are exquisite. So we're just going to get right into it today, okay? We're going to use this teal. It's kind of got like this foil going on mesh, and we're going to use this royal blue poly burlap. And you know that when I like to fuse things, I kind of like this method where I use poly burlap and I like to use a deco mesh. So today what we're going to do is we're going to fuse them 2 different ways, okay? The first way we're going to do is we're going to fuse with the deco mesh on top of the poly burlap. Now, if you're asking, Julie, what is the fuse method? I'm going to show you. Thanks for asking. We're going to take our mesh and we're going to layer it on top of each other like so, okay? Make sure it's even. Sometimes one mesh is a tad bit wider than the other, and that's kind of the case here. It happens all the time. No worries. So I'm going to lay it over top, okay? I'm going to grab my wood burner, all right? So as you can see there, I'm using the chisel tip. I don't know if you can see that or not. You guys always ask me. This one has just an on and off switch. There's no settings or anything. You can get this in my Amazon storefront, as well as this glass cutting board and this rotary mat. It's all very, very helpful tools. So I'm going to first seal the edge, okay? And I'm going to go in between the lines of the poly burlap, the best I can see here, okay? And I'm just going to go kind of slowly here. All right, and that is what we're fusing together. We're fusing 2 pieces of mesh together. And what it does, it kind of helps seal your edges just a little bit more for your petal, but we also enhance the petal because we're using 2 different meshes, okay? So we're gonna cut some of these, and by the end of this video, I'll be able to tell you how many we cut of each. I'm not sure exactly how many we're going to use, but we're going to cut the standard 10 inches, okay? So 10 inches here. Make sure it's at the 10-inch mark there, and then I'm just going to go through and cut our first petal. All right. And then you see you have that fused petal technique and they're layered together. Now, it is important to wear a mask when you're doing this process. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch it. So I just simply tear those apart. And now I'm going to put the poly burlap over top of the deco mesh. Because of the petal that we're going to do, we're just going to have fun with it and kind of explore the color combinations that we can do. All right, so I got that. First step is to seal it. And I'm not worried about the deco mesh, but more so the poly burlap. So I try to go in between the lines there. And then I'm going to cut at least 5 of each of these for the first row, because I know we're going to use at least 10 petals for the first row. All right, so we're going to cut that. And then we can get started on the next step. Okay, so what's the next step? If you've been watching me for any long of a time, you know I love the plastic canvas mesh. Okay, that was a lot to say. But this came from Hobby Lobby, and the yarn and embroidery section is where you're going to find that. I'm simply going to take my 10-inch wreath frame, and let's just talk about this frame for a moment. They have this frame, if not almost exactly the same, very similar to this one, in stock at the Wreath shop. And I believe Mel's Crafty Mojo has it as well, and probably Trendy Tree. So all my links to the places I shop at are in the description box below. I do know that both of the mesh that I'm using today for this project, the Wreath shop does have, and I will leave links down in the description box below, and I do believe they have quite a bit of it. So those are the places I like to shop, and they are great companies to buy from. So make sure you check the description box below. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take a marker. You're going to outline that center ring here, and then I cut this out, and then I connect it with these little 4-inch zip ties that I finally ordered. And again, I will have these in my Amazon storefront if you'd like to have some of those. It was pretty cheap. I want to say about $6 for 500 of these, which is a really good deal. So I will take care of this, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so we have both of our petals here. We have the one with the inside is the deco mesh and the outside is the poly burlap, and vice versa. I just thought, you know what, why not use both of these colors together in such a way that we can kind of like play on the color of this wreath. So what we're going to do is you're going to take, again, go check out my friend Michelle of A Noble Touch. You're going to take your curved side up, and you're going to just kind of meet in the middle. And what we're going to do a little bit different than what I normally do is we're going to overlay these a little bit more. So most of the time I'm like at this point. This time we're going to overlay. We're going to just gather it. Okay, so at this point I like to kind of bend those edges in a little bit, and then we're going to take this and we're going to pinch it right here. So here's the middle on my left finger. I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to twist it, and I'm going to bend back. Okay, now when I bend back, I'm going to kind of twist these little petals in even more so that it creates that this is smaller than this petal. Okay, so hold on to that. And you're going to just get your zip ties here. I'm kind of not prepared. Again, these are my favorite zip ties. They are a little bit pricey. I will say that. They are a little bit pricey. They went from like 20 bucks for 1,000, I believe, to $25 on Amazon. But we live in the world we live in, guys, and things are going up in price in everything that we're doing. Everything's going up in price, but these are still my favorite. I haven't had to buy them at the $25 price, but because they're so easy for my hands, I will keep buying them. That's why I buy them. They're just a really good zip tie. So basically what I want to do is I think 10 petals is going to be enough for this wreath on the outside. So I'm going to start at the bracket right here. Okay. And I'm just going to start on the bar 2, and I'm going to put this one right here. Okay. And you could even make that loop before you attach it. So I'm going to make sure that the end of this goes to the next bar and just a little bit beyond. Okay, so I'm going to do that and see if that's the way I want it. Okay, and what I do tell you guys, if for some reason, say you put your petal on and it's going a little bit further direction the other way, take another zip tie. Maybe let's just try, one of these little zip ties to see if this works, okay? So if I went this way, okay, as you can see, all right, I'm going to take this one and go the opposite direction. And since we've got that one on, I'm going to see if this little one will work better because they're cheaper, let's be honest, but they're a little bit harder to use because they are so little. And I'm going to just see if that's going to work. Yeah. Just barely. But what that does is it straightens your petal out. So then you've got like this cross section there. So that's just a little tip on making flower wreaths, is to do that. All right, so let's do the next one. So if I did this one, I'm going to grab this one that has the poly burlap on the inside. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of overfold them. We're going to gather. All right, and then I'm going to kind of bring these in a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it, and we're going to put it back here. And when I do that, I want to kind of tuck these in a little bit. Actually, I want it to be a little bit shorter there. All right. All right, and then you've got this really pretty petal, and I'm going to put this one in between here. Take it. And just put it on my wreath frame. All right, see, that one is just fine. And then you can kind of play with the frame or with the petal, and if you want it to be just barely touching. So let's do one more here. So now that we did that one, we're going to take one of these. And now we're going to go where that cross bracket is and see if that will work. I think this will work. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to just change, you know, each one that I do. I'm going to change the different petals so that we have this really pretty, you know, kind of look going on. And when we come back, we should actually, I think we should have more than, 10 petals. I think that's right, guys. We'll see when I get back. I'll have my math together, I promise. Okay, as you can see, for the first layer of petals, we did 10 petals all together. This is the fused petals that we're going to use, but we're not going to stop here on the first row. What I decided to do, because I felt like there was still enough room in between each of these, that I wanted to add an extra petal, but I didn't want to add a fused petal. So basically, you're going to take the mesh of your choice. I'm taking the teal mesh here. We're going to make the same exact petal, okay? We're going to meet it in the middle. We're going to gather it, okay? And then we're going to twist it and bring it over and just do a single petal fold with just a single piece of the mesh. And then I'm just going to put it in between each of these petals of the fused mesh. If I can get this through here, come on, Julie. Sometimes it wants to be a hassle because I've got my hand full of one petal here. Okay, there we go. And so I just want to kind of lay that in between each of these petals, and I'm going to go around and do that again. So let me just show you that petal, because I'm not sure if you saw it good enough in the shot. So just kind of hold, and when you do this, it's going to kind of bring it together. So let's take another one of the petals, finish side bottom and top, come over, and remember, we're going to cross over more than we normally do. We're going to gather it, okay? And then I'm going to just kind of take this one and keep rolling it up just a little bit more there. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it, and then we're going to lay it on top, okay? Let's do that. And then take another zip tie, put it on that same row too. So you're going to need 10 more cuts of 10 inches of just this deco mesh, and this will really, really pop. So I'm just going to go around and do this, and then we will come back. Okay, so this is the finished first row. This is probably going to be the most labor intensive part of the wreath, just simply because we're using, I did use double zip ties on the fused mesh, because when you fuse the mesh together, it's just a thicker piece of material to work with, so you gotta kind of like compensate for that. But the single ones, one zip tie was plenty. So let's talk about the next step. We're only gonna really, I think, maybe I'll change my mind here, but let's work on this first. We're gonna do the same petal that we did here with the fused mesh, and we're gonna keep it very, very tight. So let's make our petal really quick here. And as I've been making this petal, I will kind of roll the bottom part a little bit more before I twist it and bring it over. So then it's ready to go. I'm going to just kind of use my chip clip because I forgot to put the zip tie in there. That's okay. Remember, Dollar Tree, these are great. Find it in the laundry section at Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to take a zip tie. Let's see here. Let's kind of use one that I've got pre-made here to kind of measure. And you're just going to see, because we want to make sure that we keep it all really well. I think this is right where I want to have it. So I'm going to put that zip tie in. And then once you see where the zip tie is at, you can kind of say, okay, that's about 1.5 inches in on from that bracket there. let's start it and put this one here. Okay. And we're gonna, this is gonna be pretty tight. This is why I think this will be the only other layer of petals, just simply because there's not gonna be a bunch of room to put something else in. And then we'll figure out what we're gonna do for the center. So I got that one in. So let's do another one. And I'm gonna try to keep with the alternating of the looks of the petal here, but I'm gonna keep this really, really close to this one. We're gonna almost crowd it, if that makes sense, because I want it to be pretty close. And you're just gonna keep doing this until you go all the way around, and I really need this to end the right way. If I come back and say, hey, we gotta do this different, give me some grace, because I want to make sure that we end the right way with the petals, because we're using the different colors and all that. So, okay, so we're going to kind of do a throwback of when I first started putting out videos on YouTube, but we're going to use this fuse method instead. So as you can see, I have a little bit left of this roll. So let's just kind of see how far it will go. All right. All right, so let's see. Oh, it's going to go about that far. So we're going to just see how far this is. I'm going to just roll it out. So I definitely can get, we're going to just cut it here, and then I'll tell you how much we have. Okay. And we're going to see if this will be long enough for what I want to do. And you'll see it in a moment. This is, oh, it's right at 3 feet. Okay, 36 inches. So I'm going to flip it over. And this is something I used to do with just regular burlap, but we're going to do it this way. And it's very, very curly here. So we're just going to start on this end. And as you can see, I've kind of got an issue with the poly burlap not wanting to lay flat. Okay, hold on. Get something heavy and put on it. So that's what I'm going to do. These are such a great tool. They're in my Amazon shop. And I'm going to grab my glue gun here. Seriously, one of the best things to have. Okay, and I'm going to just start rolling. Okay, so as I start to roll, okay, I want it to get kind of tight. I'm going to add a little dab of glue. Not a lot, okay? I don't want a bunch of glue seeping through. Okay. But just enough. Just get us started here, and watch your fingers. You don't want you burning your fingers. Okay, yeah, see how I'm getting it on my mat? I don't like that. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put something on underneath this. Hold on. Okay, I got these little glass mats, and I don't know if you can still find them at Dollar Tree, but you know, if you can find them, grab some. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of glue. And as the glue kind of seeps through, it can help hide or hold as you're going through this, okay? So we're going to keep rolling this. And you don't have to keep adding too much glue. Let's just kind of pull this down. I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Kind of keep it going here. We're just going to do that again. Oh my goodness, like I said, there is no perfection. At least for my crafting, perfect doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Here, we're going to keep rolling. There we go. I'm going to have to pull that a little bit. I don't know what happened. I think because it was at the end, and as you can see, it's kind of just being a little persnickety for me, but that's okay. We can make it work. And you know what I'm going to do? Since this is glass, I'm going to now just cut that, actually. Watch your fingers. I'm really close to burning myself there, so be very careful. Don't do what I'm doing. This is me having to fix my mistake. Okay, there we go. All right. So since that's there, I'm going to start right there in the middle, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start I'm going to pull that one down. Do you see that? How I have that? All right. I'm going to add a little bit of glue in there, and this would be a good time to wear those little fingertips that are nowhere near where I am right now, which is not good. If you can get those little fingertips. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. It's just important to get this started. Kind of at the bottom. And then I'm going to start to roll. This is something I did, oh my goodness, when I first started making wreaths. It was one of my first designs. And it's kind of like, it was for a daisy center. And this is more, I don't know, I'm kind of hoping this turns out more like a rosette. But we'll see. We're just going to keep rolling. See, I need it to be pretty thick, okay? So by the time we get here, you know, you can kind of see what we're doing here, all right? Okay, so this is not quite big enough. So 36 inches across isn't going to be big enough, but let me tell you what happened for me. I had extra petals that I did, and I was trying to do a few different things that it just wasn't working for me. So it's not going to cost you any more as far as rolls. You're going to need one roll of the royal blue and one roll of the teal. So I did have one more of this already cut. This is the 10-inch, so I think I can let that go now. And I'm just going to roll this up kind of loosely. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of glue just to kind of hold it down. All right, so I'm going to look at my rosette, and I think I'm going to add it on this side, and I think that'll make it pretty even. So I'm going to glue it down. Put some more glue right here. I'm going to add it, and we're going to just hold it there. Let that set up, okay? It's really important to let it set up. And then you're just going to glue. Put some more glue over here. And I'm going to almost to the end here, so let's do some more. Again, those little things for your fingers would come in really handy right now. Okay. That's where my nails help, right? So I'm going to do this. I do use the Gorilla Glue sticks. I just find that they hold better. And add some more here. I'm going to add some there too. And I'm just going to hold that down. So give me a moment. Let me hold that down and let this set up, and we'll be right back. So as I'm waiting for this to set up, I'm going to take some more hot glue and kind of just stick the nozzle down into this like little faux rosette here, just to let that set up and have more security. You could also take some wire and run it through all of this. All right, let that set up. Okay, so as this process comes, what I'm doing here, as this is all starting to set up, I'm kind of pushing just very gently it up so that we have this kind of like rosette look, okay? I'm also going to cut off this extra that we got here. It's kind of straggling. We don't need it, so let's just trim that up. And what you can do too, all right, don't want to get rid of my wire there. That wire is important, okay? So as I'm still holding on to this because I want this to set up, okay? I'm going to take my nozzle here, and I'm just going to kind of like get down in there where the glue won't show, all right? But just to give it a little bit more security, you know, like right here, I'm going to add a little bit more glue, okay? And then I'll just take like the back of my scissors or the back of my rotary cutter in this case, and I'll just hold it down. So just add a little bit more taps of glue here and there just so that it's a little bit more secure. Okay, the next step we're going to do is we're going to take this I want to say this is 26 gauge wire, and I'm going to just kind of go down in the middle of my rosette here. I'm going to just kind of gently go down it. Make sure I can get it in there. Okay, got one in there. And then I want to take it and bend it over, kind of go on the other side because we want to make sure that it goes through different parts of the mesh. Okay, I think I got it. Just gonna have to play with it a little bit because you got all that glue in there too. So that's why I want to use the stronger wire, not the thin stuff. And if I have that wrong, let me know. Sometimes I mess up, guys, okay? And you guys help me. You guys are amazing. But we want to just kind of, I think that's going to be good enough, all right? So that's how we're going to put this on. I think we're getting there. I'm going to probably put a few little more taps of glue, and then I'll come back. Okay, I don't even know if I talked about this or not, but you're going to need 2 rolls of mesh. 2 rolls of mesh should make this. The deco mesh and the poly burlap, all of it will be linked in the description box below. You're going to need 10 of the fused petals for the first row and 10 of just the deco mesh single petals, and then 10 of the fused petals for inside. So 30 petals altogether. It's really more than 30 petals, but when you fuse it, it makes it only 1. So now we're going to take our little rosette here, and I'm just going to find a good spot to put this. All right, so let's see here. Let's try this. I've got glue on the end of that wire, so it's not really cooperating. So, but that's okay. So anyways, this is a pretty winter wreath. I think it's just kind of, it reminds me of the star. It reminds me of like a peacock. It reminds me of a mermaid. There's so many things that this particular wreath reminds me of. So I'm going to add it and make sure we got it all covered there. All right, I think, I don't know, I can still kind of see some of those zip ties, and that bothers me. So what we're going to do is just kind of work on it, and we might even add a little bit of glue. So let's flip it over and let's tie it. Let's flip it back over. Isn't that pretty though? Look at the back of it. It's really pretty. And yeah, it's not, I wish I had had a little bit more. So you're going to want to make yours just a tad bit bigger than mine. And what I might do is, I have some of these. So again, make yours a little bit bigger than I did, but I'm going to actually just go like so. We're going to switch it. Like I said, you're going to have extra of these petals. And so what I'm going to do here is we're going to work with this on the wreath. So what I'll do is I will just simply, I think all I'm going to do is zip tie this to it. I think that'll work. And then that covers everything. I think that works. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of glue down here. Watch your fingers because this is super duper hot. I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to hold that side down, and that's how I fixed it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue on the inside here as well. And then beautiful wreath. So let me finish this up again. Sometimes you got to solve the problem. Oh, that blade is sticking up, and we don't want that. That's an accident waiting to happen. So I'll pay attention to that. Give me a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, before I flip it over and show you the rest, I wanted to show you what I did for the back. I don't put hooks on my wreaths. You can use a zip tie and put a hook, but I have people just hang it from the wreath frame. The wreath frame itself, this wire wreath frame, is going to be the best use of a hanger, in my opinion. I love wire wreath frames. I only use wire wreath frames, and I'm not going to use anything else for the time being. But anyways, I prefer this method. So I'm going to take a zip tie. I poked holes in felt that I bought by the yard, and I usually get it at Hobby Lobby or Joann's, or even Walmart sometimes will have felt. I don't know if your Walmart has it. And then you just kind of flip it under the little zip tie, and you've got a nice finished back. Okay, so let's flip this over, and here is the finished product. I think that turned out really pretty. I think that having just to add another piece of mesh was okay, and it all came together. So, number one, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you realize, oh, there's a piece of glue there. I hope that you realize that crafting isn't perfect, and sometimes we mess up, and sometimes we have to figure out the solution to our problem. So, anyways, if you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to go find me on other social medias if you like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I'm on all of those. So the links are in the description box below. If you make it this far in the video, you know I always ask you to leave me something special in the comments. Today, that's going to be your favorite happy face emoji, okay? So if you are on a phone, if you're not, it's okay. I love your comments and I try to read all of them and respond to as many as I can. So until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will be here next Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. So until we meet again, bye-bye.